everybody. Good morning from Europe. Good afternoon in China. We are online again, and we just realized we have been online for a few seconds. If some of you were watching our social media, so welcome to the fifth edition of our with Videocast. This is Anna, connected from Italy, but we're also here with Halder, that is in Beijing. Hi,
Yeah.
Halder.
Hey, Anna. Yeah. Thanks for the introduction.
Yes, so we continue with this. Well, now it's already a tradition, our monthly video cast where we introduce different topics in a very friendly and live way. So I hope some of you are connected online and are watching right now, but also hello to the future you that will watch us afterwards. And so the first thing we want to share with you today is the tour of China, where we have been in Kunming very recently. And so the tour of China is an initiative that is actually run by the Chinese institutions, by the Ministry of Science and Technology, and has been going on for different years. So Halder was with different representatives of many different European member states, and they went on the first stop of a tour that will bring this big delegation in different parts of China, different cities, northeast, west. Every time is a different location, and it's really a great opportunity for us in EURAXESS to meet more and more of you, more researchers working in different areas of China. And so during the last stop in Kunming, that also Halder we talk us about, we had the opportunity, as we normally do, to introduce some opportunities and in general the European research area, while the delegates, the representatives of the member state, then normally offer some insights and focus on the opportunities and promote the research institutions and the research activities in their own countries. It's really a great opportunity to get to know more about what's going on in terms of research and innovation in the European research areas, and also maybe to network if you already have a target country where you would like to move your work to. That could also be a good opportunity. And so maybe Halder, you wanna tell us a little bit about how it was in Kunming recently?
Yeah, it was really nice in Kunming actually. I don't know if you can see, but I have a lot of flowers behind me. But Kunming in China is famous for being sort of the flower capital of China and whole Asia. So there are these huge flower markets that sprawl like the outskirts of Kunming, and we're talking literally thousands and thousands of stalls of people like and like truckloads of flowers coming in and out every hour, and people are, and they say that they set like the price of the flower prices all over Asia is set right there in those markets. So of course what we did is that we bought like a lot of flowers when we were there, and we sent it back here in Beijing, and now my house is full of flowers for a little bit until they will get bad. But yes, we managed to go to Kunming, and that was really lovely. Kunming is obviously one of the lovelier cities in China, way down in the southern high plateaus, right north, like in the southern part of China and right north of Southeast Asia. So the atmosphere and the climate there is really nice and comfortable, and they have a lot of really good food, and it's really nice over there. And we had this opportunity in our Kunming tour to meet with the scientists and researchers in the province, and there are a lot of people and a lot of interesting institutions that are based in Kunming and based in Yunnan, in particular when it comes to sort of ecological studies and tropical botanical studies, etc. And this is obviously one of those priority areas of the European Union these days. If you look at the Horizon Europe, you can see that a lot of the things that they are really looking at is the climate, is the ecological problems. They're really prioritizing issues like biodiversity and so on. So working working together between China and Europe is really important. And for us as European science representatives to go to Yunnan was really really nice. I I'm always a big fan of the tour of China, and EURAXESS has been doing the tour of China for quite a long time actually. This is not at all the first time we do this. We've been doing this. Well, I've been doing this since 2015. I've done like 4 or 5 editions already, where we've done like cities after cities all over China, and then in and then in and before that, we also, I think that when I started my job with EURAXESS, this was the second time that we did. That was the second time the tour happened. So like the tour has happened like 6 or 7 times already, and I have a lot of good memories actually from the tour. We have, if you look at the, if you just look at like my first time we went there, which was actually in the city of Wuhan in 2016, 2015 actually. We went to Wuhan, and we got like the science representatives of Wuhan city to receive us with like a lot of different a lot of different representatives from different European member states, European Union member states, and we introduced the European Research Area to them. And this was right after we had established the co-funding mechanism with the Chinese authorities, which meant that now there was an option for Chinese institutions to participate in Horizon, uh, which meant that they could do like part of the science here in China, getting funding for them from the Chinese side, and it was really really nice. Wuhan is obviously a really nice city, but since then we've been to I think more than 30 cities in China in total, and some of them we've been going again and again. In particular, cities that are very sort of a standard staple of science, like science centers here in China. Uh, Another very memorable moment was actually in my first trip. When we were there, we went first in Wuhan. We actually went to see the Virological Institute of CAS in Wuhan, which was really, really, really fascinating, especially considering later events. And then the second part of it, we went south from Hubei to Hunan and to the capital of Hunan, which is called Changsha. And over there, we went to a national institute of sort of a rice genealogy, where they are genetically modifying food stock and so on for the benefit of food security. And we met like this amazingly interesting researcher called Yuan Longping, who you can see here a picture with me where I was meeting him back in 2015. And and the reason why it is really something that I'm thinking about these days is because, unfortunately, may he rest in peace, he just passed away. And Yuan Longping is actually one of the more memorable scientists that I've met here in China. We had a really lively discussion about his work. One of his big achievements was where he managed to create the first sort of hybrid rice here in China, which, according to some estimates, it has allowed food security for hundreds of millions of people. This one invention. And there are few scientific inventions that can claim such an impact, I have to say. And this man, even though he was already very, really in high age at this time, when we were meeting him, he was still really going strong. He had just developed a new type of rice that was able to uh, expel certain type of pollution from the soil, allowing people to grow rice in more different environments. It was really fascinating. Visiting this laboratory will always be on my mind. And this is one of the things that we do a lot when we're going. We go, we meet the scientists and the researchers, we introduce to them what we have to offer, but then we also talk to them about, well, they also introduce to us what is going on. We might visit their laboratories and so on. But just to explain a little bit how it works, like we normally have the European Union there and EURAXESS, and then we also have somebody from the Chinese side to explain their programs, and then we also have with us representatives from the member states and associated countries of the European research and innovation funding program. For example, Switzerland and Norway normally comes with us, and we will introduce really quickly. We'll have this big map, and we'll tell the audience about all these different things that they can learn about Europe, and what are different sort of priorities, and what are the different specific details about the science landscape in each of these countries, and and then we also talk about sort of like what are the opportunities for the Chinese researchers that are there to kind of work with them. And we always have a big panel where we put all representatives from all the countries that we're introducing up on the stage. There are people, science counselors from the embassies in Beijing. They all sit there, and we basically open up the floor for people to just ask directly questions, and this has been a really successful thing. And that is really nice, and I'm really happy about this. We did our first tour now, first tour event this year on the 20th of May in Kunming, but that's not the last one. We'll have a lot of other ones. And one thing that I also want to let you know is that if you're a researcher here in China, in a city outside of let's say Beijing or Shanghai possibly, this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about how to work with Europe. You can come to our event, but also if you're just not able to, maybe you're working in the morning or whatever, we also offer these webinars in the afternoon where we can really have a really close sort of conversation with you and so on. Maybe Anna would like to tell us a little bit more about the webinars, Anna?
Yeah, of course. We have started doing these webinars since last year during the tour of China, and we call them the EU-China Mobility Compass because we aim at guiding you through the funding opportunities that the European Union and its member states, as well as associated countries, have to offer. So yeah, it's one of those things that I think we never thought about before. But during the pandemic, we were also forced to, be more innovative. But it's something that we're sticking to because we realize that it is great. It's both, I think, great for us because after the big conference rooms and the big events with a lot of delegates and high representatives, we have an opportunity for a more friendly and a close talk with the researchers who are present in the morning, but also those that, as you said, maybe weren't able to join physically. And also I think we realize that it's also appreciated from the other side, from the researchers' side, because it's really a friendly, informal situation where to ask a lot of questions. So what we normally do, and which we did the other week when Halde was in Kunming, is to launch this webinar. They're normally after lunch at 2 p.m. So from Kunming, and for the researchers who were in Kunming at the Tour of China event in the morning, but also to those who are just interested in knowing more. And we normally introduce opportunities for individual researchers. So we talk about the Marie Curie actions. Last time we talked a lot about these newly introduced postdoctoral fellowships. They are basically the new form of individual fellowships that were the action during the previous framework program during Horizon 2020. While now with Horizon Europe, there have been some novelties. And so we discussed all of those, and we introduced these fellowships to those who already applied before and wanted to know what has changed, but also to the researchers who were just curious to know what's out there that they could try to apply to carry on with their research and move it to Europe. And we always normally talk about another great opportunity that is offered by another funding body of the European Union, the European Research Council, that also offer grants for any kind of researcher, basically with like less or more experience. There's different options. And they only look about your idea. You need to have a very innovative idea, you need to prove that it's excellent, and then you are on board with a great fund, able to develop your own project with your own team for 5 years, up to 5 years in Europe. And yeah, and then we receive a lot of questions because also last time we were quite a small group, so we're always very happy to try to give you indications and yeah, provide advice, or in case we're not able to answer your questions, just to redirect you to someone who is able to. So yes, we will also continue the tour of China at the end of next month, at the end of June. We will have two other stops. One will be in Lanzhou and one will be in Xi'an. And I'm sure that Halder will also take advantage to see the terracotta warriors and explore also these other two beautiful cities as he goes on tour with the other representatives. And and yes, there will be for sure these other two stops. And we always meet a lot of interesting people on tour, right, Halder?
Yeah, yeah. No, we'll definitely. I think there's already an agreement amongst the representatives that we're all going to be getting ourselves some pooled noodles in Lanzhou Lamian, because like I think for most people that here in China at least that when they hear the word Lanzhou they think about noodles. Very famously, the Muslim pooled noodles are very famous there. But I also know that Lanzhou is an excellent city when it comes to different scientific disciplines. For example, I think there's like a really famous Polish Chinese collaboration in veterinary sciences with the Lanzhou University, and so there's like definitely interesting things there as well. I will be on the ground. I will be meeting people in the morning, and me and Anna in the afternoon will be really digging into the details in our webinar. So this is a great opportunity for you if you're from this part of China. If you're from West China, you can come either to the morning session or meet us in the webinar, and you can join our. Consequently, you can join our EURAXESS West China group on WeChat, and you can become a part of the community, get to know us, and we can answer your questions and so on. So it's a great opportunity. Lanzhou and Xi'an in at the end of June, but then later in the year we'll be going to a lot of other places around China. So who knows? Maybe we'll be coming somewhere close to wherever you're living. Unless you live in Europe, then we're not coming at all. There are other colleagues that'll be coming. And anyway, to our Chinese colleague, this is colleagues or Europeans based here in China. This is a good opportunity to meet with EURAXESS, and I have to say that it's also a good opportunities for us to meet with you, because without failure, every time that we go around China like this, we'll meet the most interesting scientists and researchers. And I told you earlier about the researcher, the Chinese researcher Yan Longping, when I was meeting him, and all the other Chinese great scientists that we're meeting. But not only that, every once in a while we meet like really interesting European researchers on the ground here in China doing something amazing, something really interesting. And it so happened that this time during the event I got like a message from the head of the Spanish Association of Scientists here in China that there was a Spanish researcher in Yunnan who was going to be joining our event, was there, and he would like to meet me and so on. So of course I saw there was like a couple of European faces in the audience. I went to say hi and shake his hand, and then I asked him, "What do you actually do here?" And and he tells me, "Well, I'm here to research wild elephants." And I was like, "That is amazing!" Like I didn't even know there were elephants wild here in China. So right after the event, we had like a 10 minutes before he had to catch his train, and we recorded a small interview with him. His name is Aisma Campos Arques, and he's a professor of ecology and conservation at the Xishuangbana Tropical Botanical Gardens in the Chinese Academy of Sciences. So Xishuangbana is like the most southernmost part of Yunnan. So you're already in the most southern part of China, most southern province of China, and you go to the most southern part of the most southern province, and there you can find Aimsa researching elephants. So I don't know. I thought it was super interesting. Maybe we take a look at the interview.
Well, thank you very much, Aimse, for talking with me here today. So just to explain a little bit, we were in Kunming for an event, and I found out there was a European researcher here in the audience through the Spanish network, a Spanish researcher, Aimse. And when I started talking to him, I found out that he's actually doing something really interesting, working with wild elephants in southern Yunnan, Xishuangbanna.
Xishuangbanna, yes.
Right. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in China?
Well, I have been just 1 year in China. I came in March 2020, which was a very interesting time to move to China. But I have been living in Asia for around 18 years now. So I have been working. I did my PhD in Japan, but I work in Sri Lanka, in Singapore, in Malaysia, and then I moved here.
Always on wild animals, or?
I have been working with elephants since 2003, basically.
What made you starting to research elephants?
Well, it was by chance. I was looking for a master project, and I was struggling to get the funding.
Right.
And then my professor in Japan got a big funding to go to Sri Lanka, and he thought it was too dangerous for Japanese students. So then he said, "Why don't you go?"
You said the European.
And then I found myself in Sri Lanka without any clear plan. And I just got fascinated by the opportunity. So these are the biggest animals. And then there was one time in which I really felt I got hooked on elephants. Is when I understood that not only we need forests to protect elephants, but we need elephants to protect the forest as well.
Really?
So then at that time I was doing my master, and then I continued with my PhD in Sri Lanka, studying how elephants influence the forest. What is the ecological function of elephants? So then it might that you have a forest with and without elephants, there's a big difference.
Right. Elephants
go around and eat things, break things, defecate, trample things, so in all these things are disturbances that affects a lot of ecological interactions and processes. So when you remove all these disturbances, the forest becomes much more homogeneous and many things don't happen. So my study has been in this period trying to understand how elephants are not the big animals, but the elephants are my key species, how they influence ecosystems.
Yeah, so it's not good to have elephants in a forest.
No.
It's the opposite.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's disturbance is part of the system. So
right.
you need some amount. What it creates is very small scale disturbances that creates diversity.
Right.
So, for example, imagine that you have forest, and then elephants come and feed in a place. They want to break many branches. They will trample down many small palms and bananas and things like that. And by doing that, they open the space for the light to come, so all the plants benefit. They will provide food for animals that feed on these things that are available. They create habitat for small animals that need the crevices and other things. So they create conditions for many things to happen. So then when elephants are not there, the system becomes, let's say, more boring, more homogeneous.
Right.
And many other animals, plants, and other organisms will miss that space that they need.
And then you have this ecological system, and you have the elephants. Then I guess the third variable are humans, right?
Yeah.
How does that fit all together?
Yeah. So then that's my other branch of study, which is human-elephant interactions. So then when you live with elephants, you notice that. So then they are very, very noticeable. And the key thing is that when elephants and agricultural societies live together, there is conflict. So then elephants feed on all our food crops, and they can be very harmful in terms of economic cost for the farmer, or they can be very serious consequences. Like 400 people are killed by elephants every year in India, for example.
Right.
And then the point is that my job is to promote elephant conservation, but by doing that, also I know that people who live with elephants will have to face some consequences by living with elephants.
Right.
So we try to promote a peaceful coexistence. We try to create conditions that reduce the cost of living together for elephants and for people.
Right. It's very fascinating. And now you're in China. I remember when I was studying at Beida 10 years ago, there was a professor who was talking about once there used to be elephants all over China, all the way up to Henan, maybe, he was saying, and he was like talking about evidence in that regard. And but I was under the impression there were no elephants in China. I totally not realized there were actually elephants here in Yunnan. Maybe I would ask you what brought you here, and how's the sort of status here in China now with the elephants and human interaction, etc.
Okay, so then this place where the elephants in China right now, Xishuangbanna. Xishuangbanna is southwest Yunnan. Xishuangbanna, Pu'er, and Linchang. Is a small chunk of Southeast Asia within China. So it's very close. I live 40 kilometers away from Laos and from Myanmar.
Right.
I live just very close to both borders. And then there were a few elephants left. Back in the 90s, they were very close to disappearing. There were left maybe less than 200 elephants, 150 or 170, whatever. But since then, due to some conservation policies and some other social changes, elephants were able to recover. And since then, they have been expanding in area and also in numbers.
Right.
So it's one of the few places where elephants are currently growing. Most, in everywhere that I have worked before, elephants are just shrinking. You have less elephants. So your concern is how we can make sure that the elephants don't decline.
Yeah.
But here the point is they are increasing.
Right.
So we're facing a different kind of situation. And what brought me here is that I came in 2019 for a sabbatical, and I was really interested in what I saw. I had been coming for a few years. And then what I saw is that we are facing now in China the problems that hopefully we'll be facing throughout Southeast Asia in 20 years from now.
Right.
So then China is more developed than Laos, than Cambodia, or than Myanmar. And there's a huge access to technology, there's very good policy, there's very good enforcement, there's very good human capital. So what we have now is that we want to conserve elephants, but we don't have space for elephants.
Right.
So then there's political will, there are resources, but we are faced with reality. Where do we put these elephants?
Yeah.
At the end, elephants are moving, among crop fields and people. So now we need to think of how can we get these people and these elephants to get along in an acceptable way. And I think in a few years we'll see big development throughout Southeast Asia. Elephant population will be in a very similar situation.
Right.
So I think we can develop solutions here that can be exported to these other countries.
Are there any good solutions already that are being implemented, or?
Well, there is no silver bullet. There are many good things that are happening, and I think what we need to do is to fine tune with local solutions to find what we call acceptable level of conflict.
Right.
So we don't want to eradicate the conflict. We don't aspire to not have problems. We just want to have problems that we consider are sustainable and acceptable in the long term.
Right.
Because by nature, when you have an elephant in a paddy field, you are calling for some amount of problem, but you can do this by having a good land use planning. Think about where you put your road, or where do you put your national park, or all these kind of things.
Yeah.
By doing some basic prevention to prevent elephants from coming to places that you don't want them to come. So you have to be like go areas and no go areas. Then you need to have things like economic solutions. If you want elephants to be in a landscape, but elephants cost money to people, you probably have to compensate people somehow.
Yeah.
And then also there are things like through awareness and education, you can increase people's tolerance. So some people might be more happy to live with elephants if the risk is acceptable.
Yeah.
And in some cases, we need to have a bit more of a hard management, in which we might have to decide, elephants are not welcome in a landscape.
Yeah.
And how to do that.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to learning more about this. Actually, this is like a totally new thing for me. So, in June 24th and 5th, we'll be holding a forum for European researchers in China, and I know that you'll be coming, and I think we have more than 90 researchers already that are going to become, and it's really interesting to see how many interesting, fascinating things European scientists are doing here in China in all different fields and so on. So, well, thank you very much for sharing this with us, and taking a little bit of time. I know that you're going to catch a train way down to Xishuangbanna again, right? So
yes.
So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So that was our interview with Aimse, and I have to say this is probably not going to be the last interview like this that you're going to be seeing this year. We already had like a really nice interview in the Videocast in Shanghai with our ERC grantee colleague Manuel Perez Garcia, and then we are planning to maybe try to catch a glimpse of a lot more European researchers and see what they're doing here in China. And I think this could be very interesting to a lot of colleagues, especially those that are in Europe at the moment and might wonder what actually brings people to China. What are people doing here? Why are our scientists in China working and so on? Are they doing anything important, anything interesting? Of course they are. And we will make sure that you'll know more about that. And the reason why I'm quite confident that we'll be able to see more of these sort of interviews is because very, very soon people here to Beijing, European scientists from all over China to join us for the Forum of European Researchers in China. And we're really looking forward to that. We're working really hard on that. Anna, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I'm really excited, and really, we're gonna have a good number of European researchers from very different areas coming to Beijing to join us. And yeah, I mean, we are working very hard for this event. It's going to be the 24th and 25th of June, and it's about the European Research and Innovation Days, China. And we will also have a forum for European researchers in China. So I don't want to enter into details if you haven't heard about this event, but there's going to be a lot going on. We're going to be hosted by the European delegation, and on the first day, uh, the national networks of the European member states. I mean, those who have a big network will meet. We will also meet with smaller member states, and then we will launch officially the event. We will also connect to Brussels, so we will hear from Maria Cristina Russo, who is the person in charge for the global approach and international cooperation of the for Horizon Europe. So we will hear from her speech, and we will also divide into different groups, discussing and connecting to Brussels about the global approach, the global outreach of the new framework program Horizon Europe. And we will also have the ambassador of the European Union to China to give a short presentation, and we will have a cocktail, to network a bit, and to also, from that point of view, celebrate and officially launch from China the new framework program Horizon Europe. And then the next day is going to be very, very busy. It's going to be the day of the forum. So in the morning, we will have different groups formed by European researchers from different member states and associated countries, dividing into different career stages and discussing what are the best practices for Europeans to work in China, what are the issues that need to be tackled, what are the best approaches. In the afternoon, we will have many things, but the main thing will be thematic groups. So in this case, we are going to split into 6 different groups, focusing on the research area of every researcher. And you see, there's a lot of things. I didn't tell you everything. And we will also have an online dimension of these activities. So even for those of you who will be based in Europe, or who have been stuck in Europe for a while, like me, there will be the opportunity to participate right out there. That is also very exciting.
Yeah, super exciting. It's going to be a very multi-level layered event that we're talking about here. We've already had more than 100 researchers registered to come here to Beijing and join us here at the premises of the EU delegation. But like you said, there are also different parts of the event where we're going to be joined by people, researchers that are not able to join us here in Beijing. So there's going to be this hybridness, and just having all of these European scientists together in one place is going to be really an exciting thing for us. I think this is like sort of the peak of every year for us. We're trying to work with the European scientists, and now we have them all with us and so on. And we want to make sure that that means that all of our members all over the world can also follow what's going on. So we will have a social media campaign throughout the Research and Innovation Days in Beijing, where we'll be posting videos of the researchers and talking about what they're doing and showing sort of glimpses of how all of this is going on. And but if you're not a researcher from Europe here in China, you might not be able to join this event directly, although I'm sure you'll be very interested in joining us and join us on social media to see what's going on. But what you could do is that you could also take a look at another event that is going on, and which is kind of the main event we're affiliated with, which is the European Research and Innovation Days that are going to be held by the European Commission in Brussels on the 23rd and 24th of June, Wednesday and Thursday, and it's going to be all virtual. And I attended this last year. I went there when they did this the last time, which was in December. No, sorry, in September, and it's really excellent. There's like big sort of presentation from very important policymakers in science and research, but there's also panels to discuss different topics and so on. And a lot of them are like a lot of thematic areas are going to be discussed, and there's going to be like parallel panels, so you can like decide which one you're most interested in. There are online Q&A sessions. There are a lot of ways to get involved, and since yesterday they've just opened up the registration for this. So if this is something you're interested in, you can definitely find it online. We might put the link in the description of this video here after we upload it online, but if you just want to find it really quickly right now, you can just Google European Research and Innovation Days, and you will definitely find the 2021 edition somewhere online on the website of the European Commission. So this is something that I think is like a very useful thing. I think basically everybody should join this. Chinese researchers could find something that they're interested in. If you're a European researcher in Europe, you might find something that you're interested in. If you are a European researcher in China and you're coming to our event, we will also be participating. We will be connecting it a little bit. So there will be, like Anna discussed earlier, there will be one part of the European Research and Innovation Days about global collaboration, and we will have like parallel groups participating in that virtual event from our physical event here in Beijing. So it's like all crossover in this 2021 world, post-COVID world. We are doing things in person, we're doing them online, and we're mixing it and matching, doing hybrid activities and so on. So it's going to be really cool. There's going to be something for everybody. So this is keeping us super busy right now. As soon as this videocast is over, I promise you I will be going directly back to organizing this event, because, you know, organizing the logistics of hundreds of people coming to an event in one place, spanning multiple sessions over many days, is complicated. But thankfully we're very lucky and happy to say that we're working with really good people. Here at the EURAXESS team, me and Anna and Vanessa, we are working really hard. But from the European delegation, we have the Europe-China Partnership Facility, which are organization friend of ours, who are working for the delegation to put up sort of the logistics on their sites and so on. So there's a lot of people here working really hard day and night to make this happen. So yeah, that is it. If you're a European scientist in China and you want to join us in Beijing, you have to act fast, because we'll be closing the participation list soon. If you're a European scientist that cannot come to the event here in Beijing but want to join us online, we will open up a special registration for that very soon. And if you're neither, consider going to the virtual European Research and Innovation Days in Brussels. So I think this is it for us today, Anna, right? I think we managed again to squeeze out 40 minutes of a videocast, 5th time in a row.
Yes, we are never as short as we would like to, but you know.